Yep, I'm on. I do tend to go a faster action rod because I like twitching those soft plastics through the water and things like that. We'll just hook him up better.
Come on, little guy.
Oh, gentle, gentle. Oh, don't do that. Another fish. So stoked.
Awesome.
Thanks, Josh.
Another little beautiful rainbow for Vicky.
You know, the country we're walking and the exploring we're doing to hook one is just, yeah, bonus, and it's awesome. Great feeling.
There he goes.
Woohoo.
I love it up here. It is worth the work out here. I think we've driven longer than we've actually been fishing. Took us a while to find it. We got to a couple of dead ends, 3-point turns in the bush. But if you look at Google Maps, Bing Maps is another great one, Google Earth. Look on those, try and find access roads, see where you can get in.
Yep.
Half the fun is finding it, I mean.
Oh, it is. We come across this big pond here. It's above the rapids a little, and it was trying to pick how to work such a big area and a little bit deeper. And we've got lily pads throughout the basin here.
It almost looks like a bass spot, doesn't it?
It does, and that's how I worked it. So I actually worked through the channels of the lily pads here, or the weed beds here, and just suspended that lure through and just slow rolling it.
Fishing these small streams, creeks, rivers, whatever you want to call them, usually you'll break it down into 3 sections. There'll be the rapids and the head of a pool, there'll be the main body of a pool, and then there'll be the tail end. Now, rainbows have a tendency to sit towards the front end of the pool, and the browns tend to sit towards the rear, and you get a bit of a mix in between. Now, when you're working the front of a pool, usually the fish will be face into the current, and they'll be just behind a rock or behind a tuft of grass or something just out of the current. So you'll see a bubble trail and maybe a small boil as the water moves past. Now, they'll dart out from behind where they're stuck and they'll go back in. And that's just economy of motion. There's no point swimming in the current as fast as you can. If you just sit behind, slowly dart out, grab something, come back. So you want to put your lure as natural as possible. Usually, if you can make your lure swim down the bubble trail, that's the best presentation, because they will dart out from where they are. They're looking at where those bubbles come. They're usually looking in that. Now, to do with a trout's vision, we're always kind of moving upstream. Trout have excellent vision forwards. They don't see as well backwards. So if I'm sneaking up behind them and they're faced into the current, they're not going to be able to see me. I'm not going to spook them as much. Now, working in the middle of the pool, both rainbows and browns will tend to do a beat. They will swim around in a big circle, or they'll swim half a pool in the circle. They just tend to have the same way around. Now, you can get to the pool and make 5, 10, 15 casts, and it's just a matter of the right time, the right cast. That trout is coming past on his beat, sees your lure, and bang, he's on. So for this kind of fishing, I tend to prefer rods that are under 7 foot. I like a regular action rather than a fast action. Yeah, so keeping it under about 7 foot, you tend to have a lot of bankside cover. A lot of times you can have trees behind you, and having that really long rod, just having a short one to punch little casts. You're not usually trying to make gigantic casts. I will use monofilament most of the time and fluorocarbon, simply because I find a little bit more stretch in that line and a softer rod. You don't tend to pull the really small trebles. he's behaving at the moment. Okay, we've been fishing the high alpine rivers of the Snowies area. We've come to a lovely big pool. If there's going to be a fish anywhere, it's going to be here. And I've hooked the most beautifully marked brown I think I've ever seen. And barring him doing anything crazy, we'll just gently pick him up. I think he's caught more right now than he did out in the middle there. It's a beautiful fish though. I watched it follow the lure up. I twitched it and he kind of looked and he swam away. I twitched it again, he had a look. Twitched it a third time, he grabbed it. I didn't even feel the strike. I literally watched him take that lure. And that is beautiful Snowy Mountains brown trout.
I want one like that.
God, he's glorious.
Yeah.
Just drop it right up under the water.
Now Vicky and I, as we walked up here, we both said there's got to be a fish in this pool. There's a lot of small runs. The water's down a little, but you come to this very large pool, if there are any fish in the river, where as that water drops, they're going to back away the large pools. We're working upstream because most fish will face upstream, but as you get to a bigger pool, they tend to just slowly do a beat around.
We also, the tactic, we walked different sides of the bank. Being such a big pool, there's no point casting across it and just working one area of bank. So we would walk either side of the bank and just cast along the bank to try and get those fish on the edges.
This is a beautiful fish, too beautiful to catch just once, so we're going to put him back and hopefully somebody can come back one day and catch him again.
But the reels are really lovely, so first time I've used this one today.
Yeah, just a 2004 and a light action rod is all you need, and a bum bag of lures, and you can go walking for miles.